There we go. Finally got it sorted. But yes, welcome one and all to another episode of the Wiki Weekdays podcast. I'm your host for this week's episode, Lucas Holland, and I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Karl Smallwood.
Hello, this is the sound of Karl Smallwood talking.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Karl. And Karl, with the Wiki Weekdays podcast, of course, both you and I will bring a wiki of our choosing as a point of discussion. And something that the fans do is they vote for which wiki won this week, which means they just vote for which was the best topic for a discussion based from last week. And Karl, yours last week was Abe from Abe's Odyssey, and mine was the topic of the Big M, McDonald's. And Karl, can you guess which one?
I'd like to think Abe would win, because in his own game, Abe does succeed over capitalism, but in our world, capitalism usually wins. So was it McDonald's?
Well, you know what? Our fans chose the good side, Karl. They chose to defeat McDonald's.
We got the good ending. Yay, we saved enough Mudokons. But to clarify, if you'd like to go vote on which wiki you thought won this week, which I don't think we can do, right? Because we've pre-recorded next week's episode.
Yeah, we have. So, next week's episode we already recorded, which means that we can't do which wiki won this week for next week.
But in future, if you'd like to do so, as Lucas mentioned, is which wiki you thought brought forth the best discussion, not necessarily the one on the topic that you are personally most agreeable to.
Yeah, so you can head over to our Discord to vote on the polls when they go live. But yes, well done, Abe, and well done, Karl, for bringing Abe to the discussion last week.
Abe would absolutely be horrified if he saw McDonald's.
He'd be horrified to see how many Mudokons go in the burgers.
Oh man, do you think they're tasty?
Don't look tasty.
They have to be, right?
They don't have to be tasty. They're just like skin and bone.
Yeah, it's like caviar. I've had caviar. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's like just this briny, fishy, salty paste. It's like, is it just because it's expensive?
It's totally just a poser food, right?
Oysters, right? Just when someone, it's an acquired taste. And I don't think I'd ever acquire the taste for someone who just like phlegmed up on a salty fucking roof tile covered in grit. Right?
That's a lovely way of putting it. But Karl, we've got to get to it because we have another gimmick for the intro, and that is Pet of the Week. Just people on our Patreon, they will, go over to our Discord and they can post pictures of their pets or just general animals and birds that fly past the window.
I say it every time, someone's going to get one.
So, yeah, people, as I say, patrons post on that Pet of the Week part of our Discord, and everyone votes for which won the Pet of the Week. And this week is a lovely story of the pet Spice, because they are a new member of the family, Karl. In the Discord,
they're upside down in their photo, so
they're upside down. They're blurry. It's the perfect kind of Pet of the Week picture.
It is, yeah. They're upside down and approaching us at high speed.
And it says, "I'm not proud to say I'm the proud owner of this beautiful sweet mom. Her name is Spice. I adopted her yesterday from an animal shelter. She had a litter of 8 a few weeks ago." Just always a good point to bring up is remember that adoption is a thing that you can do. Obviously, a lot of people, myself included, buy dogs when
pre-made dog
is not a opportunity, but adopt where you can, folks, because there's
a pre-made dog. It's fucking sick. Let's go. Already house trained. Let's go.
Sometimes, not necessarily always. Batteries are not always included.
You're walking around, it's like I do like that tweet though where someone's like, I don't know why people spend like thousands of dollars on dogs, like when you can just get one from the pound for free. Look, my dog was free, and it's a picture of like this mongrel.
Mm-hmm.
And so the top comment is like, I can tell. I feel so bad, but that did make me giggle.
Feels bad on the dog, right?
The dog from Always Sunny, right? Like Max, dog that eats like batteries.
Oh, Poppins,
he's like 25 years old.
God, yeah. But Poppins is not one of the Pet of the Week. Spice is, so congratulations, and Karl. Before we get into the finger things with the wikis,
yes,
we do also have to shout out the patrons on our highest tier. You can see the names of our people on our boost tier just above, but my camera's just turned off as well. Highest tier, just you frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'll sort it out.
So I'll start shouting out people while you fix that, Carl. So shout out to Bee of Awesome with many bee emojis and a crown emoji and some sparkle emojis. So thank you very much for all them bees. But Woo One King Day, One Piece Wonka, always like the One Piece shout out.
Exactly. Followed by the Burning Dragon burns bright in the Bourbon Bureau of bodacious buffoons, buffing barns in the backs of Bengal barnacles. Try harder next time. That's not a difficult tongue twister.
Roslindis Memphis.
Followed by Nick McQueen, Horchata.
Then Lucille Steele.
Little Ghost.
Chicken Bucket with a little bucket emoji after.
Judge Shred.
Decipher Bio.
Then Carlos crea una oración en español para tutora Carlo Balochico y Lucas Holland en Patron.
Thank you very much for all those amazing patrons making this possible and making this happen. But yeah, I just want to remind everyone
the podcast producers, the PPs.
The PPs. That's a joke from the pre-recorded podcast, Karl. Yeah.
I've been making that joke for ages, mate. If you're telling me me making a PP joke is new, come on.
True. But yeah, thank you to PPs out there. If you want to be a PP though, you can do so.
If you want to show us your PP?
Don't say it like that. I'm not
comfortable
with that.
With that wording.
I'm okay with saying that they can be PPs. Yeah, just reminder that we just reset it for the month at the beginning of the month so that everyone always gets, the start to the end of the month. And if you want to game the system and figure out which one has the most potential shoutouts within like a month, by all means. But yes, just a reminder to anyone that has supported us on Patreon, like it just gets updated at the start of the month, so everyone just doesn't have to worry about when the,
if you offer us support or you start subscribing to the Patreon for the middle of the month, you're not just going to get added in and only get 2 weeks. It's like a month in lieu.
Of course, yeah.
And spoilers, next month's a 5-week month. You're technically getting like 20% more for your money.
By the way, Karl, just things to mention before we kick off. Just obviously like the podcast if you're watching live. It helps us get discovered by more people while we're live. And if you want to support us with super chats, Karl, what are you going to be talking about today? Is on the thumbnail.
It is, yes. It's Raymond Holt. So we've not leaned too much into the topic of pride because, as we've joked already during this month, of our logo is literally a fucking rainbow, and we've been vocally supportive of our gay and queer fans the entire time we've been making content, both on Wiki Weekends and Fact Fiend. But I did think it'd be fun to talk about Raymond Holt, one of the most noteworthy and well-written gay characters from a recent sitcom.
Yeah, and I'll be talking with Music Festival. So if you've got anything to, say about either of those subjects and you want to make us read your comment, then of course you can super chat and we'll get to those at some point. But yes, just let us know about Raymond Holt.
Okay, so I'm referring now to the Brooklyn Nine-Nine wiki. So we're going to open with a quote from Raymond Holt. And this is a very accepting quote. And it's also very, very reflective of the character of Raymond Holt. But also, I feel like, just for Pride Month, I feel some people out there probably need to hear this. So every time someone steps up and says who they are, the world becomes a better, more interesting place.
Yeah. And
I believe that is Raymond Holt in response to Rosa informing him that she is bi.
Yeah, and a show with maybe not remarkably good, but maybe surprisingly good representation, right?
Yeah, I said just the idea of Raymond Holt.
Yeah.
Just as you mentioned all the times about the show, I'm like, I'm a black police captain. And he's a badass and a very well-rounded character and doesn't play on really any stereotypes.
Not that I can
save for the fact that he's very well put together, which is a stereotype like gay men being very just organized and fashionable.
Yes, that is true. But yeah, again, like that, not in like a nasty kind of way. They sometimes that can kind of be twisted a little bit to.
It's known as a positive stereotypes.
Yeah,
it is a term, and it's difficult to get across to people because it's positive, right? How can that possibly be bad? Well, it's still a stereotype, and it can still lead to people making assumptions about someone based on their outward appearance or how they choose to present themselves. Like a common positive stereotype is that like Asian people are good at math.
Yeah, and those kind of things as well, not only in that sense, it's also in a reverse sense of like, if you're maybe say gay and not fashionable and well put together, you don't fit that stereotype, it can make you feel kind of ostracized a little bit and feel bad about yourself potentially.
Like I said, in regards to like the positive stereotypes and other ways they manifest is, I think it's called like positive discrimination. You might think, well, that's an oxymoron, right? Well, an example of positive discrimination is like holding a door open for a woman, but only specifically for a woman. You might say, well, that's a polite right, but that can potentially, not always, but potentially reinforce the idea that women need men to do things for them. And that can have like negative socio-political repercussions on a person's sociological. I forget the exact word. It's been ages since I studied this, but it can have negative repercussions and ramifications if that's the thing that keeps getting reinforced, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like that's, I try my best to just hold the door for people when I can, and when I'm not
everybody, right?
For everybody, and to anyone out there that makes a negative comment when people do that, of I didn't need the door holding open for me or something. It's like, just take it. Like I obviously, as you say, like specifically the idea of well, only certain women deserve having the door held open for them. Everyone else can go fuck themselves.
That's why it's like positive discrimination, and it's even though the initial act can be viewed as positive, it does have negative impact sometimes. Like I said, of like negative, it reinforces the idea that men need to look after women.
Yeah,
and it might, and it's one of those things as well that always gets like blown out of proportion by like weird right wing knobheads. Because it's like, oh, well, you're saying that holding the door open for a woman's gonna result in it's a hugely sexist act. It's like, no, that's not what we're saying. It's a minor thing, but you add up all those minor things over the course of a lifetime, the end result can be quite dire, right? Because it's essentially like reinforcing in someone's life, reinforcing the idea that said that like women need men to do things for them.
But ultimately, yeah, I think like fuck the idea of like specifically only holding the door open for certain people, but also just
it's just the first example that came to mind.
No,
There's plenty of other ones.
It's I was just gonna say like, just don't be the person that has a go at someone for just trying to be polite, right? Just don't be that person.
I think to that like screenshot that goes around of like that viral video someone did of like holding the door open for people, but only a little bit. And like the thumbnail is them holding the door open like a foot or someone just trying to squeeze through it. But you know, we get back to Raymond Holt now. So Deputy Commissioner Raymond Jacob Holt, and I guess as well, it mentions here, played by the late great Andre Braugher.
Yeah, and
very unfortunate passing. I was wondering, why didn't you do a video like this when he passed? We don't do that yet.
Generally not. We tried to stray away from the idea of somebody passing away being an avenue for clicks. It feels that whether or not you're trying to do it in a way to like, honor their passing and their lifetime and their achievements, it still feels like there's that undertone of we know we can hop on a trend and their trend being their death. It just feels something icky.
I personally don't like the idea of cashing in on someone's death.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to us, and we're not necessarily shaming other creators for doing it or whatever, but just on a personal standpoint, we don't like to do it. It's not for me.
Yeah, it's not for me. I draw the line at making content after someone died. So we do allow people to make suggestions in our Discord. One that we're almost always going to say no to is if someone passes away, please don't suggest doing a Wiki Weekend video on that person or a role that they played to specifically mention that a person died. It doesn't feel. I just don't like it.
It's a personal thing, right? And I understand. I saw like a lot of people I follow kind of post up discussions about like Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball as a way to like remember their work, right? Yeah, and it's like I understand that side of it and feeling like the obligation to do that as well, but yeah, where we stand on it.
So Raymond Holt is a main character in all 8 seasons of the show, and the only character besides Jake Peralta to appear in every single episode. I'm always like
Oh,
interested when you learn stuff like that. When there's like characters that appear in every episode of a show, like The
yeah,
Simpsons, where it's like, for example, I think the only character to appear in like every episode is like I think it's Bart,
right.
because there are some episodes where Homer's not. I think it's Bart and Homer. There are a couple episodes where like Lisa and Marge just don't appear at all.
It's weird when you think about it. It's similar to that whole thing about actors with surprisingly short amount of screen time in a certain film, right?
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, even though he does have a lot of screen time, it's just not. He's not physically on screen. Like a lot of his role is like he's doing voiceover and stuff like that, and he's like
Yeah.
talking when another character is. You're seeing their response to him talking.
Yeah, that one is a bit of a weird statistic, right? Because okay, they might only be on screen for like 17 total minutes, but they're in scenes for, as you say, like double that time because essentially it's camera going back and forth between different people.
Also, as well, like if the entire plot revolves around like another one is the Joker from The Dark Knight. Like, oh, Heath Ledger's only in that movie for like 18, 19 minutes, but the entire plot of the film revolves around his actions. So he's still felt as a presence in the movie, even if he's not physically on screen.
Causing problems in the background a lot of the time, right? And it's just putting the whole city of Gotham in crisis mode, and then it's focusing on the other character.
Yeah, but we bring it back now to Mr. Raymond Holt. He was the NYPD's first openly gay black police captain and the captain of the 99th precinct for most of the show's run.
Yeah, I don't enjoy the parts where his character, obviously they do it to just mix things up. The only real time where I think they got away with not having Holt as the captain was like, I think the relationship between him and Jake being in Florida was alright.
That was a fun one, yeah, because you do get some great cutaway lines like Jake eating the burrito in the pool. It's like don't eat the burrito.
Uh,
Also, can we give a shout out to Andre Brower for when he's playing straight Holt?
yeah, I was about to say when he gets to play like straight Holt walking down the street and like power walking and talking about like big breasts and
My favorite bit is right. There are guys who talk like that because obviously it's very exaggerated. But when he's talking like, "Yeah, I remember my wife. She was such a strong female woman, huge heaving breasts." There are writers out there who write like that about women. That's the joke, right? Of like she ran boobily down the stairs.
yeah, or the like classic one where it's just the like fantasy novel or whatever, or the period novel where, or out of nowhere, just like a massive description of someone's penis appears, and it's like, oh, it's one of these books. Oh no.
I want to know. Like, where is this purple helmeted warrior going? Will it be to my womanly cave? We will find out. But in the penultimate episode of the series, he was appointed the Deputy Commissioner of Police Reform. And I watched like 3 episodes of the last season and went, oh, I know what you're trying to do. This is not the show to tackle this subject.
Right,
You
yeah.
should have just made them all quit and join like the fire service or become private investigators or something. This
Yeah,
is not the avenue I want to see. This is not the show I want to see tackle police reform because none of the characters in it are serious enough for such
yeah.
a serious topic. And that's the problem.
And obviously it goes without saying, I'd hope, but we should say, you know, ACAB. I don't know if we'd get censored by saying it outright.
All
But
cops are bastards.
yeah.
But
And
classic joke, right? No one's ever wrote a song called "Fuck the Fire Department."
no, no, fair. And also, fuck ICE and everything going on right now. Just, especially in America, like, I couldn't agree more with defund the police, but even, like, to an extent over here as well.
We just never see the police over here, right?
If you're doing it right, yeah, like,
I think that's what makes America and the UK so different in our approach to the police. Like, you never fucking see the police over here. They're not an ever-present presence on the streets. It's generally, like, the UK is reasonably safe. Like, I don't think I've ever been walking down the street and seen a police officer just doing, like, walking the beat. It's just not a thing.
um, I mean, obviously it's a bit different when you're in, like, the city at night, right?
Potentially, yeah, but they're normally, like, just, especially serving as bouncers to just, like, get people to trains.
Yeah,
I only speak to my
but
own experience, but I've rarely interacted with the police. They're not. You just don't see them all that
not
often.
as not as often as I imagine you do in America, but
They're
I
also as well not as unnerving a like presence because they don't have guns.
Well, yeah, exactly right. They
I do
can't
get weirded out
just
when you
shoot
see
us
like
on
armed
site.
police. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
make me do like a double take when I see like an armed police officer in the
Yeah.
UK.
Always throws me off when I go to like an airport or a certain train station and stuff, and you've just got people with like the full machine guns, right? And you're like, oh, well, this is strange. It feels very weird for us.
The weirdest
Um,
part is when they're drinking a coffee. Like, would you have to drop that coffee if I just like if it was just get attacked or grabbed by like a terrorist
if
or
you just
something?
started sprinting in a general direction. But yeah, I don't envy the writers for the show having to come up with a compromise in that last season because
They should have just made them private investigators.
yeah, but you couldn't just leave it as it is. You know what I mean? You couldn't
No.
pretend like nothing had happened.
So, Joe, a show that handles it quite well. I mentioned this earlier in the recording we did, but it won't be going out for a week or so. Is the show SWAT,
Oh
and
right, yeah,
that is a police procedural in the vein of stuff like I don't know, like Law and Order,
yeah. Okay.
but it's specifically written as a counterpoint to shows like that, where like in Law and Order and stuff, like they'll just kick down someone's door and beat the shit out of a suspect, and like just wildly
Yeah,
violate everyone's rights, and it's just never portrayed as a bad thing.
kind of like in a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
Yeah, in SWAT, they have many, many episodes about that. And the fact that as SWAT, they're held to a higher standard. They have higher standards of training. And there
Mm.
are multiple like arcs through different seasons about police reform. They have a couple episodes about the start of the pandemic. They have an episode about Black Lives Matter. And it's handled quite well because the show has a serious tone.
Yeah.
And they're able to like fold those issues into it without it feeling awkward.
So
Because the universe of the show is quite serious, so you expect serious issues to be raised. Whereas in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you literally see Jake stop and then start giving the speech about how it's wrong to do this, this, and that, and it just doesn't feel natural for his character to talk that way.
no, it doesn't. Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of shows have had troubles dealing with is not knowing how to write kind of progressive messages in the shows when it's
I think
not.
it's writing police who aren't assholes. We talked about
Well,
earlier, right, about the example I gave, like pointed out of like remember about Jake, what he does in like an early season, what's
yeah,
played for
and
a joke.
I was talking about just all sitcoms and stuff in general, like general
Yeah,
writing, not just about police. But yeah, Jake does have a lot of moments in the first few seasons where him violating human rights is seen as a good thing because he's like the the one who gets the job done no matter how he does it.
yeah. I think to the episode where there's the guy who gets out of prison, and Jake's like, "Well, I know he's up to something. Why? Well, I just know he's up to something." So straight away profiling.
Yeah.
Also, that character is black, so you're profiling a black dude as a criminal because you know that he's a criminal. In any other show, that wasn't a comedy. That's not very good, Jake. Then they arrest him because the guy gives Jake some lip,
Hmm.
and Jake makes up a reason to arrest him. So that's like a police officer flaunting his power over an innocent member of the public who's served their time, they paid their debt to society, they're trying to go about their business, they're being harassed by a police officer who distrusts them and accuses them of crime based entirely on what they look like. Prejudiced. When they arrest him, Captain Holt, you think, well, Captain Holt's going to fucking tear him a new one, right? Nope. Captain Holt's like, well, now we've got to find something to pin on him, so it's not a problem.
What it is now we've got to find
Not
evidence
to pin on him, but yeah.
of their own crime that's a legitimate crime.
Yeah, not like what I said, like we've.
There you go.
It turns out, yeah, that guy did commit a crime. But here's the thing: innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah,
And
the
Jake
only
had
reason,
zero cause to arrest him.
yeah, the only reason he arrested him wasn't due to any evidence of crime. It was due to gut instinct, which you're not allowed to arrest and detain people,
Stop and frisk, right?
or you're not meant to be able to.
Well, that's what happened with stop and frisk in New York. And again, the writers clearly didn't have that in mind when they wrote that scene. Because if they did, they wouldn't have had that storyline because it's so, as I said, it's so reminiscent of stop and frisk, which is where they introduced a system of, well, police can just frisk people who they think have committed a crime. And it was near universally used by police officers to just harass like black people.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happens in the show where they play it as a joke and actually play it as a positive thing because Jake is right. So
yeah. they're like, "Oh, well done, Jake. You got the guy." It's like
your hunch paid off. Your hunch of being prejudiced against a black guy who paid his debt to society and did literally nothing wrong from an objective standpoint. From an outside, obviously the guy committed a crime, but to an outside observer in that moment, he'd not done anything wrong. And if you want to argue, well, he did something wrong and Jake was right to do it, you're basically arguing for the police to be able to say, I think you're guilty of something and arrest you without cause.
yeah, it's similar to how something in America, like civilians don't need to have documentation on them at all times, but
Nope.
like non-civilians and like anyone who's like undocumented or there with a visa or something, like the argument is that they should have their whatever papers they need at all times to prove
Which is not eerily reminiscent of anything that's ever happened in history, right? Of people with guns demanding to see someone's papers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is that means that technically they can only challenge people who they think aren't citizens. And it's like, well, how do you decide who looks like they are a citizen and who doesn't look like they're a citizen?
The answer is by being racist. And maybe that's a topic that shouldn't be addressed by a comedy show where early in the same show, they portrayed those same issues, those same problems, those same endemic issues with the police as funny.
Yeah.
That's what made it weird when they try to handle it. Like, there's so many things that, like, you have Jake in later seasons talking about how it's wrong what the police can do. It's like, well, you did it.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things. I do wonder what is the kind of what's the future for shows like that, especially police-based.
They're going to get worse.
Shows, but like, do they even happen anymore?
They do. There's a great series of like video essays by a creator called Skip Intro about propaganda. And they talk about a show called Blue Bloods, which is like they say it's the worst show. And something they bring up in their series that I didn't consider is a lot of people watching this due to like demographics, you're probably like, 20, 30 years old. You probably don't watch terrestrial TV. You probably watch streaming services and videos like this. They point out like 10 in the top 10 most popular terrestrial shows. Like 6 of them are police procedurals like Law and Order and Blue Bloods and The Rookie. And they're the shows that older people are watching, and the messaging in those shows is fucking horrendous.
Yeah.
Propaganda. Like, I'd say I can't do it justice, but I'd highly recommend going to seek out you know what? Nothing about it. We'll shoot them a message. Yeah, we shoot them a message if they want to appear on an episode.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of which, we are having troubles, getting a guest podcast for this month. It doesn't.
I'm away for a week, right? One quarter of our recording time this week is just gone because I'm out of the country.
Yeah, so maybe we'll try and double up on guest appearances in the next coming months or whatever. Obviously, it's just relying on people getting back to us, scheduling things.
People's schedules as well, right?
But yeah,
my schedule is I'm only available for like 3/4 of this month. I'm gone for like an entire week and a bit.
Yeah,
but me and Lucas have discussed it behind the scenes. Like, we don't want to be seen as like taking the money and run, because that we reached the tier on our Patreon for like reaching out to and paying guests for their time.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to take that money and add it to with the Wiki Weekends coffers. We're going to take the usual fee we'd pay to a guest and just send that to a charity.
Yeah, and we didn't technically clarify which charity yet. For this month it will be a pride charity of some kind, like something to.
We discussed like the Trevor Project or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you'll see like the receipt. Do you get I don't know. Is it a receipt from?
I normally put like a little, like, grab a screenshot of an email, like thanks for the donation kind of thing.
Yeah, that'll be in the Discord as and when it gets sent towards the end of the month. We get back now to Captain Holt, and we have some nicknames for Captain Holt. And you got any favourites?
I mean, it's not a nickname. I do love the episode where he accidentally calls him Dad.
That is a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like that dynamic. You don't really need the police backdrop for that. And that's why I was always so baffled they kept the police thing rather than just saying they all quit out of disgust and make them go do anything else. Because the thing about the show wasn't the police aspect, it's the relationships formed by the characters on the show. They could have transplanted them into any other scenario and not have to deal with that.
But yeah, the other like one that I like is when Jake's trying to convince them to all have code names, while they're trying to chase down the guy. And I can't remember what his code name was, but I'm sure it says there.
So his nicknames include Ray by Kevin and Friends, Uncle Ray, Robot Captain, Stone Eagle, Cold Mountain, Dad, Captain Dad, Dad Tane, Daddy Holt, Brother Figure, Captain, Capitan, Mr. Fart, Ice Veins, Wet Blanket. So that's the best one where he's just like giving out the code names. Like I'll be Eagle 1, you'll be like Striking Viper number 3. Captain Holt, you'll be Wet Blanket. But then he's like, no. Don't call me Wet Blanket. Call me Velvet Thunder.
That was a new Thunder, was in it? Velvet Thunder. Like, oh.
Let's give a shout at Andre Braugher's voice.
Oh, yes.
Like, half the character is that voice and his delivery. And there's a couple of roles that he's, like said, someone mentioned earlier in chat, that he was going to be. I didn't know this. So he appears in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I was getting just like clips from like Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, and I was like, did not remember that Andre Braugher's in this.
We'd have to double check this, but according to someone in our chat, he was originally going to be Nick Fury, but they couldn't get the rights from Marvel, so he's just random, like, military man.
That would make more sense because that dude is in that movie a lot. At least when I was looking at clips, I do
more than you'd expect for a random military dude, right? It does seem like he was written with a bigger role. Like you're looking at, is he someone from the comics that I don't know?
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering why every time I was looking up a clip, he was there, and I'll have to rewatch those movies, and we'll have to make some video next month to celebrate Fantastic Four coming out, and maybe finally getting a good Fantastic Four film. But
a better Fantastic Four movie, a more consistent Fantastic Four movie.
The first one's okay, right?
The first one's fun.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I really always feel uncomfortable with the amount of times they need to try and get Jessica Alba naked on screen.
Yeah. The weirdest one, there's an interview with her where she talks about it almost made her quit acting. There was a scene that called for her to cry. And she's a good actress, so she started crying, and the director's like, can you cry in a way that's more attractive? And it's like, I'm supposed to be having an emotional breakdown. Why? I don't need to look attractive when I'm having an emotional breakdown. The fuck are you talking about? And eventually, they made her pretend to look sad and CGI'd a tear into her eye. Because she didn't look fuckable enough when she was actually crying.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, if that was me, I'd fucking quit acting.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
I absolutely love the more modern trend of, no, fuck it, ugly cry. Like, I want to see snot dripping out of your nose. Like
the Florence Pugh, right? We talked about like the Florence Pugh where she just looks like an emoji of the... That said, we talked about it in a video, I'm not sure when it goes out, but I mentioned like the objectively the hottest a woman has ever looked is Bryce Dallas Howard screaming with a knife and a teddy bear with like a mascara running down her eyes in like that episode of Black Mirror that she's in, where she's just screaming like, "You fucking come near me and I'll shove it up my ass." Objectively the hottest a woman's ever looked. Let women just go fucking ape shit in movies. It's great.
I love that scene. I love that episode. I personally didn't think like, man, that's super hot. But you know,
it's because the juxtaposition of how like prim and proper and well put together she is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, when you date a girl and you first see her in a lingerie, and you see a different side of them, right? So it's just in that moment where she's screaming to the crowd, it's like, oh, that. I didn't realize that one of my things is a redhead screaming at me with a knife, but there we go.
Yeah, but yes, going back to Andre Braugher, like their voice is amazing, and there's so much like gravitas to Raymond Holt.
That's the thing, and do you know one of his roles that he had that he probably didn't get enough play for? Is in America, he's the guy who does the announcing for the Olympics, or he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they specifically brought him in because they're like, well, people are going to be bored watching the fucking like dressage or something. Not if Andre Braugher's doing it.
But like, I love the lack of seriousness that they bring into the character, as clearly Andre Braugher's like, let me have more fun with the role. Yeah,
and I feel like Andre Braugher, like we talked about this earlier as well, there's that like Naked Gun movie coming out, and it's Liam Neeson. Andre Braugher could have done that role of like the completely serious, kind of delivering silly lines. Because the amount of lines that I don't know how he got through the recording session without laughing. Like, what, the bone moment, right? Just
Oh.
boom, boom. How did he like say that with a straight face? And apparently, as well, the weirdest part is that apparently, like, he was the most playful one on set, whereas Andy Samberg is very serious.
Oh,
And he's
right,
like
okay.
to the point and very
Yeah.
direct, and like he's like consummate professional, and just they'd switch roles the moment the camera stopped rolling.
But yeah, like one of my favorite cold opens is when they're all guessing how Raymond Holt would react if he ate a marshmallow for the first time. Like,
And just Boyle's like, he's like,
yeah,
I can see you doing it.
and then they all don't believe him, and then Andre Braugher pulls off like just the most impeccable, like, like, oh my god, yes.
And what's your favourite line from him then? Because mine is the title of this episode, and it's just where like I think it's Jake and Amy are arguing. He just turns his chair around, and is like, "Now you've done it." I turn my chair. And just the way he delivers that line is just so perfect.
I have one line that lives like rent free, not because of the line, but just it's like I have never felt better in my life or whatever. But it's just because once when I was in work, I accidentally pocket messaged my entire Facebook Messenger like contact list just that GIF. Again, people that I might not have spoken to since like high school.
Yeah, what
And
send
it
them?
was, and I sent them that GIF of just like I've never felt better. And I was like, I don't know how this has happened. Of just like it just happened when my phone was in my pocket, and it was hours before I got a break and looked at my phone again. And just so many people are messaged back like, okay, like I'm glad for you. What is happening right now?
You just got to delete people at that point, right? It's easier to delete the number than it is to explain what happened.
Yeah.
I love that one though, of just like, now you've done it. Turn my chair. That one always gets me. Just his delivery on that is absolutely just like pitch perfect. The marshmallow noise is fantastic.
And
Like
then
Velvet
just
Thunder.
everything regarding Cheddar, right?
Cheddar's amazing. Like great dog acting. Like dog acting is often underappreciated, but it must be difficult to be a dog actor, right? Because just you want to sniff an ass.
Yeah, true.
Right? And craft services right there. They can smell it.
And I love the Hollywood Heist episodes, but like the one where he trains Cheddar to go and like steal it with all the commotion going on. I'm like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I like the moment where like they wake up on the morning and he's just watching them sleep and he's like, it's heist day, baby.
And
is the one I think as well like they put it back and he's dressed them in their sleep or something, right?
I can't remember.
The other
oh, go on. Sorry, I was gonna say I can't remember specific lines from it, but just the entire kind of arrangement where both Jake and Holt end up with mumps, and they're like drowsy messes trying to solve a crime.
Yeah,
fun scene. And fun fact, like I watched that not long after I myself got mumps, even though I was vaccinated against them.
Made you feel good, right?
God damn it! I had to call up my parents and be like, You did get a vaccine for me, right?" Tell me. So obviously, it went away very quickly because of that.
Yeah, but we continue now with his personality. So outwardly, Holt is strict, hardworking, stoic, staunchly professional, and a stickler for the rules. Inwardly, he is warm, empathetic, devoted, and a kind-hearted man who cares deeply about the officers and employees under his command, going above and beyond for both his squad, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, and I just think it's shown throughout, but obviously, as the seasons go on, he just like clearly gives more and more of a shit about his squad, right? And proves that he will do anything for them. But yeah, just an amazing character in the sense of he will go out of his way to just do anything he can for his team.
I mean, you can see why like Jake as a character latched onto him as a father figure, because as a father figure, Holt's like pretty much perfect. Like he's stern. Maybe it's safe for like the fact he's not emotionally available.
Yeah.
That's more at work, which I think that's not a character flaw. That he's professional at work,
Yeah,
and he wants
exactly.
police officers to fucking do their job.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
This is it. Especially at the beginning of the series, he's not shown much emotion and finds it hard to connect to feelings. Similar to the character of Rosa, he does not understand pop culture references, often accidentally making them or accidentally allowing the squad to reference them. He is shown to follow rules to a T and was called a robot by Jake due to his nature.
And that's one thing that I'm glad that they moved away from in the end. And I think a good turning point, maybe.
It stopped being funny, right?
Yeah, but it's
and
also...
they mined as much material out of that as they could.
Just as well, it feels a bit weird for Holt to not be a bit more, kind of in line with the rest of the group. And they have that one episode where they all have like a house party or whatever, like a work party, and they all kind of spend time with Holt on their own while everyone else is having fun downstairs.
Yeah.
And they treat him like him being there as a chore. And then ultimately by the end of the episode they realise, no, like Holt wants to be part of that group. He doesn't want to be the boss that nobody wants to be around. He wants to be part of the team.
And his backstory does inform some of that. Right? We talked about, the first openly gay captain. I have to be absolutely flawless in my outward presentation and my duties because they're looking to take me down. It would be bad enough if I was a gay captain or a black captain. I'm both. They do not want me to be in this position, referring to the establishment of the police. So it makes sense from that thing of oh, why are you so serious? Because if I was not taking this job seriously, I wouldn't have got the job.
Yeah, and Haley mentions in chat. I can't believe we've spent so long talking about Holt and not brought up their relationship with Wunsch.
Well, it comes up here. So, Holt gets along well with and mentors Amy as they similarly care about grammar and proper procedure and dislike being corrected. One of my favourites out of context lines are just, you carry a map with you? Yeah, you never know when you're going to need to correct someone on their geography. Louse. That's it. And she goes, it wasn't just right, it was louse.
Oh, God, when he gets in a hissy fit with Amy because she proves that, the Monty Hall problem. And he's on the wrong side of the argument when it comes to how should you switch or stick with the door.
Yep.
And yeah, just the levels of pissed off he gets from being corrected by anyone is just
yeah. And it's just I'm going to leave him I'm now going to leave him a snotty voicemail about needing to brush up on basic mathematics or something like that, right?
Yeah. So it is funny how just because it is funny how much you can talk about the Monty Hall problem, explain it all out, make people watch a half an hour video explaining it, and they'll.
It's an episode. Coming up. Do you want to briefly explain the Monty Hall problem then, because we can get some live reactions to it now, because it's been used in the past as a way of just testing. Does someone have the ability to approach a problem from an analytical standpoint? So.
Yeah, so the Monty Hall problem is based off a game show, which I guess was hosted by Monty Hall.
Yes.
Yeah, so
press your luck or test your luck, I think it was. Doesn't matter.
The idea is there's 3 doors. The host knows where the prize is behind one of the doors.
Yep.
So say the host knows prize is behind door number 1, and then
this one.
Yeah, then. Out of the 3 doors, the person who's in the game show gets to pick one door. So say they pick door number 2. Then
that one.
The host reveals one door to be open. They'll open door number 3.
That one.
Which doesn't have a prize behind it. So now the answer is, do you stick with your original option, or do you switch? And many, many people think that sticking with your gut instinct is the best thing to do. But statistically...
Or they think that it is equally as likely as switching.
Yeah, and therefore you'd feel worse about losing, right? But technically...
Yeah, they think it's a 50-50 chance, but it's not a 50-50 chance. It's a what chance, Lucas?
If you switch, you've got a 2 in 3 chance of winning.
And if anyone's thinking, how does that work? It's very simple. When you initially make your choice, it's 1 in 3. It's 1/3. That choice is locked in instantly. So let's say you pick, as you said, door number 1. You pick door number 1. You pick door number 1, host puts down door number 2. And the prize is in door number 1. right? You get a choice, you stick. You stick, you get your prize, right?
Yeah.
It's host opens, door number 2. You stick, prize. It's like, and if you go through it with a pen, because I'm going to do it with my fingers, it's going to fucking hurt. But if you do it with a pen and paper, it just 2/3 of the time, switching always gets you the win.
Yeah.
2/3 of the time. It's because you like the odds are locked in when you pick. And the best way to visualize it is think rather than 3 boxes, imagine 100 boxes. And you pick out of those 100, and then the host proceeds to open 98 doors in a row and then asks you to switch. How confident in your initial choice would you be?
Yeah, because
you've got it right.
Ultimately, it's, as you say, the odds are locked in when you first picked it. That you had a 1 in 100 chance of winning.
Yes.
Or 1 in 3 when it comes to Money Hall. And the deal or no deal thing, right?
Yeah.
That's a very similar thing where you pick one of like 24 boxes, I think it was.
Yes, and it is understandable, the emotional aspect of people do feel worse if they switch and get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I don't understand is how people can't understand the statistical aspect of it.
Yeah.
That's what gets me, because like, you can literally use a pen and paper to draw out and show them that 2/3 of the time, switching always comes out on top.
Yeah.
And they still can't get it. No, it's 50-50. It's like, it's literally not.
And yeah,
And
it's as you say, it's got a lot of emotional weight to your decision making ability, right? And people see it as kind of a personal offense that no, my original choice would be the best choice to go for.
Yes, and it came up in one of the earliest Fact Fiend videos. It's a writer and columnist called Marilyn Vos Savant. Had an IQ of like 160 or something like that. Wrote an article explaining this problem. And as mentioned, it's a very basic problem you can literally show someone in 2 minutes with a pen and paper.
Yeah.
She wrote this column explaining it's 2/3 if you switch, 1/3 if you don't. Here's like a basic outline of why that's the case. The magazine she wrote for, I think Parade, got inundated with about 10,000 letters of complaint, mostly from men, many of which claim to have PhDs in like advanced and higher mathematics, and some of which accused Miss Savant of not getting it right because she was applying woman logic to a math problem, which is a wild thing for someone to say, of like, you're being too emotional and applying woman logic to a problem, from a person who sat down and wrote an angry letter to a magazine because a woman corrected them.
And
truly a being of pure logic right there.
As well, just being extremely confidently wrong.
Yep.
To the point of physically writing and sending a letter.
Like men being confidently wrong and harassing women about it. Name a better combo. But we get back to...
oh, sorry, I was just going to say, like, one of my favourite things. It's like people saying that they wish they had the confidence of a mediocre white man, right? It'd
be great.
Yeah.
We probably explained the Monty Hall problem poorly there, but you can just go look at it. Literally, you just draw like 9 lines on a piece of paper.
Yeah. It's interesting to know that. Like, let us know in the comments or in live chat. Just in a situation where it's 1 in 3 doors, would you want to stick or switch? Like, even after hearing that, information.
I think I'd rather ask: Do you agree? Do you admit that it's 2/3 if you switch?
Well,
that's what I'm more curious about. And then, if you'd like to say, would you still switch knowing that?
Yeah, because I'm more interested in the emotional aspect. Because, as you say, if you switch and you get it wrong, it feels worse. It feels like you let your gut instinct down.
Yeah, it's one thing to know the statistics. It's another thing to YOLO a chance on it, right?
But yeah, I'm always interested to know, like, because I've watched a lot of Deal or No Deal because my mum always had it on, and almost no one switches their box. I'm like, okay, when you know the logic of the Monty Hall problem, that means you've got a 23 in 24 chance of losing right now and getting the bad option.
I remember there's an article written by a professional blackjack player, and they talk about this, where you have, like, if you want to win at blackjack and you understand the game, you just have to be able to approach it from a position of pure logic, because the amount of people who understand how blackjack works and understand exactly what they're supposed to do in the moment, they know, like, okay, when I get this number in front of me and there's been this many hands, and I'm this number in, I do this. Even when they know that, they can have it memorized. Just when the money's in front of them, it gets really, really difficult to hit or stick.
And it also
based on and inform your decision based on logic when money's involved.
And also based on like superstitions and how, because people will feeling lucky or on a win streak or on a losing streak. And people will make decisions informed by that when actually the best thing to do is just follow them.
Yeah. As mentioned here, we're not taught statistics. Really? I was taught basic statistics, and I did as my like further mathematics in college. I did statistical mathematics.
Yeah,
So I probably like studied it more. But like the Monty Hall problem's like really basic. I just explained it poorly because it's a lot easier when you have a piece of paper to use as an example.
Yeah, I definitely did have some statistics. I think we had like a term where we did like statistics and coursework on statistics as part of our GCSEs, which is still where maths is mandatory, right? So yeah.
Is this why so many Americans don't understand like inflation or marginal tax rates? You think?
I mean,
because they're just not taught basic statistics
again,
in school.
Weird to not do things like statistics when like you talk about like thought about things like sale tax, because you have to figure out the tax by yourself, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's not statistics. Maybe that's something else technically.
It's folded into it.
Yeah.
It's like percentages are basic maths. Statistics would be more like, again, even marginal tax rate is basic maths. But I'm just more thinking like getting a deeper understanding of how like percentages work and stuff, and like odds and things.
Well, anyway,
always weirds me out
that. Get back to old Raymond Holt.
Yeah, someone who would understand it is him. Apart from, and I found that to be very out of character. Because you think like Raymond Holt, who's portrayed as a character who approaches most situations from a position of pure logic, you think he'd get it.
But
I know his husband is portrayed as being like really, really smart. He's like a college university professor.
Yeah.
Still, that being the reason they're arguing seems odd.
It's odd, but then at the same time, it does show that he's like not a robot and is capable of getting caught in kind of like petty arguments with his partner when he's outside of work, right?
And they do, as Rosa mentions later, it's like it's not about that argument. It doesn't need a bone.
And I don't like how much they kind of had bad relationship towards the end, and I never really like it when it's like just taking this nice wholesome relationship and being like, fuck it, we need to break him up, add some drama in.
Yeah.
But well.
As well, like the relationship for the most part plays like they seem like a very good match. And it's Mark Evan Jackson, I believe, plays his husband. And I just think he's very good as like Kevin Costner. And as well as Kevin Costner sounds like Kevin Costner. It's a fun one. He's like named after a movie star, but they don't know what movie stars are.
And it's true. It's a really sweet episode where you find out that the reason that he doesn't want to hear about work is about rape.
He's worried about and the reason he doesn't like any of his police friends is because you remind me of the place where my husband goes where it's very dangerous. Like the episode where Holt, right, he gets stabbed. It's another aspect of his character like he's a badass. It's like, well, he would be, right? He's been in the police for like 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
And he's probably done, as a stickler for the rules and being properly trained, he's probably done like every like optional training course that he could possibly have taken. Of course, he's going to be good at like self-defense and weapons handling.
I mean, he literally caught like that disco serial killer, right?
Yep.
But yeah. Gotta be a pretty badass person.
While often calm and collected, he's shown to get very angry when someone hurts him, his friends, his husband, or his dog. And that's where you get like, you messed with the wrong fluffy boy. I do like the moments where he's like badass Hulk. I say when he's about to get stabbed, it's like, aha, you're a police captain, you got mugged. I didn't get mugged. Like 3 people tried to mug me and I fought them off and got lightly stabbed. And it's like, wait, what?
And I lightly stabbed us.
Right? Like I said, when there's that guy where he steals his dog, and it's like you messed with the wrong fluffy boy, like fucking tackles him onto the bonnet of a car, starts wailing on his ass.
You would though, wouldn't you?
You would, but at the same time, that is police brutality, which is fine if you want to put an elevated universe.
Yes.
That's fine. If you next season only go, you know what, the police abusing suspects under their that they've arrested and are not a threat, that's really wrong. The police shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm being saying that sarcastically because that's how the show presents it when the characters on the show do it. We mentioned here, as the series progresses, while not becoming laid back, he does smile more and can be found not only having fun, but at times indulging in more childish behaviour. He's highly competitive, easily accepting Jake's Halloween heist plots, and loses any semblance of professionalism whatsoever around his enemy, Madeline Wunsch. And I'm just going to say, like, one of my favourite lines of Holt is just when it's like, oh, I've heard, is your crew gathered here to watch me and you talk? And he just says, yeah, who wouldn't want to see a man fight a crocodile? And he just says it so matter of fact and blasé. That cracked me up.
Yeah. I love how much it just comes naturally to the character, right?
Yeah, it's just like how off the cuff that line sounds of like, oh, you're getting a little like a cheering squad here. It's like, who wouldn't want to see a man fight a crocodile?
God, and then there's obviously the funeral one where they like coax him into just giving like the most horrible funeral speech of all time as like part of an extended plot, right?
It's like, how do you like this? It's like lunchtime is over. It's like, why don't you just like accept it, like, you know, very magnanimously and get back at her that way when she's going to give him a medal, and he accepts the medal and is like, thank you for this honor. Like director Wunsch. Boom! Lunchtime is over. Had it both ways. No regrets. Also says, well, like, Kyra Sedgwick, the actress who plays Wunsch, like, she's got it fucking going on in that episode where it reveals why they're having a fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
And she rocks up to his apartment in the lingerie. It's like, fucking hell, you got it going on.
Doing well for us all.
It reminds me of when I watched, like, an ex-girlfriend of mine. Like, do you like that moment where, like, Jake makes Kevin watch all the action movies?
Oh, yeah, like the Die Hard and stuff.
I made my ex watch a bunch of action movies. We ended up watching True Lies. That's about Arnold Schwarzenegger as a spy, and Jamie Lee Curtis is his wife.
Oh yeah, that scene is just like, oh, out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, like we're used to obviously Jamie Lee Curtis being like more mature because we didn't see her till a bit later in life. But like, oh yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis was just super hot.
Well, I just remember like the other scene where she does a striptease.
Yeah.
And I remember my girlfriend at the time, she just went, as soon as she took a shot, she went, damn, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
She just couldn't hold, she was so surprised. Probably even Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, damn.
Yeah. Didn't know she had it going on.
And now, Lucas, we have some trivia about Captain Holt. So would you like some trivia?
I would. I would like to know how many people that his straight counterpart has apparently banged. Like, how much of a player was straight Holt in his head?
He's such a strong female woman. Heavy set breasts. Fucking let's go. His favourite colour is beige. He has a tattoo on his lower back of Kevin's head on Cheddar's body.
I don't remember that aspect.
Turner and Hooch is his favourite detective movie. He hates the use of the word bone in a sexual context. He's a skilled dancer. His sidearm is a revolver as opposed to the standard pistol used by his colleagues, likely as a result of him being much older and on the force for a longer period of time. On his first day as an officer, one of the older officers unironically asked him if he was there to turn himself in.
Oh.
Holt previously had a gambling addiction. I do like those moments where like, go Razzmatazz, go Razzmatazz. I'm ruined.
Yeah, that's a good episode where they're betting on like the like dog show, right?
Yep. He and Kevin made an Instagram account where they post photos of Cheddar. He has 14k followers. His breakfast is room temperature water and one hard-boiled egg yolk. He only eats omelets on vacation.
Man, I know that omelets are nice. I feel like omelets are so overrated as like a fancy food.
Until you see Kingpin make one and you're like, fuck, I want an omelette now. When you see Kingpin making his omelette in Daredevil, you're like, fuck, I really want an omelette.
Like watching people make the omerice, right? It's like I don't think I'd particularly like the texture of omerice, but like it just looks so impressive when you like slice it open it.
Yeah. Now, here's like a detail that's present on everyone's like uniform, but they never bring it up. And I think this is a great example of you can set a show in like the world of policing, and you don't have to bring up not negative, because that's a very poor way of wording it. Heavier subjects, which would not be suitable to be broached on a show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Captain Holt, along with many other members of the 9-9, wear September 11th first responders badges.
Oh, right, okay.
So something like a lot of police officers and firefighters in New York have, is they wear little things on their lapel. It's like, oh, they responded to, they were 9/11 first responders, which in a show set in New York, you can intuit that characters on the show, they must have been there for 9/11. They never mention it, because why the fuck would you mention 9/11 on a comedy show?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they had the restraint to not mention that.
It's obviously that's not something that was happening anywhere around the time of production, right? So
I just think it's interesting that they felt the need to reference it, but never directly in the show.
It's
like
quite odd that like maybe not all of them wear them. I'm just thinking some of them would have been pretty damn young when 9/11.
Too young, yeah.
Yeah.
But a couple of the older officers wear one, like Holt, and I believe Boyle has one.
But even like
the show started like 2009, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe something like that. And bear in mind, like, actually a lot of the cast are probably a little bit older than you think. Like, I think Andy Samberg's like in his like late 40s or early 50s.
The pilot was released in 2013, so 12 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That they've been on the force for like, a decade at that point. It's conceivable.
Yeah, for most of them, and obviously you've got some characters like Hitchcock and Scully, right, where they're clearly been there for like 30 odd years or whatever.
I will say, I would have loved like a Hitchcock and Scully, like in the 80s spin-off. where it's like buff Hitchcock and buff Scully. That was really fun.
The guy who plays Reacher.
Yeah, it's Alan Richardson.
One
of his early roles. I would love to see that. But either way, that's Captain Holt. And yeah, great character. A great like queer representative for TV. Handled very well.
I also like as well that just a lot of like the time, like obviously they talk about it very openly of him being a gay character. It's part of his kind of core story, but just little things where it's like he's maintains himself very professionally, but he's just got like a little pride flag on his desk at all times and stuff, and just it doesn't need to be thrown in your face all the time, but just nice little things are reminders.
Yeah, it's like there's not many characters where like you have a character who is gay where it doesn't come up. Because normally, like someone being gay, it's usually played for story reasons, or they use it as a plot point.
Yeah,
very rare. Like I mentioned ages ago on Fact Fiend about shows that actually got spin-offs, and there's a show called Taxi. And it's based on like a Luc Besson movie. It got one season, it was shit, but I love police procedurals, and it's about a police officer who loses their license, so just teams up with a taxi driver to solve crimes. And one of the side characters on that is a gay guy, but it turns out he was like a special forces marine.
Right. Okay.
After he left like special forces, like I'm gay. And the final episode of that show, and it got cancelled, is that character being stabbed and just left dying on the floor. And it's like that character should have got a spin-off, and also the fact they die in the last episode fucking sucks, because I want to see just the gay Punisher. Because they have like an episode where it's like, oh, what are you going to do about it? He goes, well, I was in the army. He goes, oh, doing what's like special forces. And like they look over to their friend, and it's like, yeah.
And just before we take a break, Karl.
Yes.
I do wonder. So you have like this catalogue of police procedurals that you've watched over the years.
It will never end, Lucas.
And I'm curious.
Yes.
Do you ever stray into like the world of the police like documentary stuff, like the fucking like Ross Kemp doing a documentary on police work and shit?
No. I have watched a couple of like the prison ones.
Yeah.
Specifically, there's one presented by Raphael something or other, where he was a guy who was falsely convicted of a crime. And he has like a very interesting perspective. So I watched, I think it's like World's Toughest Prisons, but then they brought another host in after a while. And I found them more interesting just from the perspective of someone who was in the system, unjustly so, offering their perspective on like prisons around the world. Obviously, it's very editorialized. Yeah, I never liked any of the Ross Kemp ones because that's just like a lot of that was ego stroking. It's like, Ross Kemp, I'm going to the hardest prisons in the world. It's like, well, you're fucking Ross Kemp, are you? Big fucking bald baked bean looking head.
Ross Kemp was just the first name that came to my head.
And then
that vague type of TV show, right?
No, that it always felt exploitative, and it is just basically propaganda. Not to mention all the actors on it who appear as the hosts. You know they're only doing it as an ego boost.
And
Louis Theroux documentaries, though.
Oh yeah,
he did one on the police. He did a prison one once.
The ability of that man to get information out of people is uncanny. Just stare them fucking down until they talk.
Like, just by being awkward.
Yeah.
Like, he's an interesting documentarian.
He's very interesting, yeah. I do want to mention with the propaganda stuff as well. One thing that I heard that like infuriated me recently was in the live action Lilo and Stitch. They have a lot of weird decisions in that movie, but spoilers for how they adapted Lilo and Stitch, I guess. Like, it doesn't matter because that live action movie sounds terrible, but they have it where Nanny, instead of staying in Hawaii, goes to study marine biology in mainland USA.
Okay.
And there's a line in there apparently where Lilo turns around and is like, "Oh, Nanny's gonna go to the mainland and join the Marines." And it's like, no, Lilo, I'm joining them. I'm going to study marine biology. But that means that was a paid-for advertisement by the Marines because that's like a trademark name. And it's like they literally got paid to put in the line of like, hey, we mentioned the Marines. Doesn't going to the mainland and joining the Marines sound great?
It's like, go watch The Shield. The Shield is interesting because that was initially called Rampart. And it was based on like a real fucking thing in Los Angeles. And the LA police, like, here's the thing: if you want to use like the logo for the police, which is trademarked, you have to ask permission. And for, like, I think right up until like the last couple of weeks before the show aired, the LA police, like, fuck yeah, we'll let you use our logo. We'll let you set this in LA because they just thought, oh, it's a cop show, right? Because most cop shows lick the balls of the police because they're afraid to say, hey, the police fucking suck. And they found out, what's the show about? Oh, it's about corrupt police officers killing people and abusing their authority. And you can't use our logo for that. Yeah. But it's based on a real thing that you did.
I did do it.
That became The Shield. If anyone curious, like The Shield's a great show.
I did every now and then watch like things like Cops, right?
Cops is what? It's so bad.
Yeah, but it's interesting to watch like actual policing happen, right, and how shit they got.
The closest I get to watching like anything that glorifies or lionizes the police is, for some reason, like during the pandemic, I fell into a rabbit hole of like To Catch a Predator because I saw a compilation of like it was like the worst responses, and like in that situation, yeah, the police are probably the good guys. On a sliding scale of good to bad, right? Yeah. When the person they're arresting is attempting to solicit sex from a minor.
That's the thing. It's not to say that no good work has ever been done by the police, but it's a horrible system. A lot of people there to abuse the horrible system and that power.
But if anyone go watch that compilation of To Catch a Predator stings where they get tased. Because the one that's the most satisfying, speaking of the police, is a guy who on his chat logs with like the person posing an underage person is like, I'm a police officer. I've got a gun. I'm going to bring a gun to your house. And obviously he thinks he's like got a big dick and he's like, yeah, I'm so cool. I've got a gun. You scared of me, right? You think I'm awesome and intimidating. And all you see on the other end is like the police going, well, he's saying he's going to bring a gun to the house. So we've got to have the fucking tax squad ready to roll. And you just know, like, every time this guy, right, there's like the police are there like, fuck yeah, this is the one.
Yeah.
And he walks outside and just sees like armed police there with tasers, and he sprints back into the house as he gets tased, just screaming like a little girl. And again, you don't feel bad because he was there to try and have like, commit a very bad
Assault
crime.
minor, yeah.
And then the other one, what was it now? It was like there's the other dude who gets tased and he like falls over as he does it because he doesn't want to get down on the floor. And it's like, dude.
Hopefully no.
Oh, there's one more though. There's one more.
Okay.
Where one of the police, and it's one of those you can just in your head. You've got to do like set the scene in your head. Where when the guy walks outside with Chris Hansen's like, "You're free to go," he gets tackled by a police officer wearing a ghillie suit, and you just know that police officer's like, "I fucking can't wait to wear my ghillie suit." It's like he's going into a house. I'm wearing the ghillie suit. It just look, and you see the guy when he walks out, so he doesn't know it's a sting. He gets fucking just taken out by a bush.
See,
and what do you think went through that guy's head?
Giant bush.
But took out by a bush.
There's like those prank people that dress up as like bushes and stuff and jump out at people in streets, right? It should have been that. They should have pretended to like be a house plant and just stood in like a plant pot.
They're never going to top just the big cone from the Jackass like movie, right? Where Wee Man gets under the cone. No one will ever top the hiding in plain sight of just the cone. Yeah, I don't watch many of like things that actually star the actual police.
Yes, yeah.
I've been known to watch a like not true crime documentary because I hate the newer ones, but I have watched a couple of like the really old ones when like they were less exploitative for research purposes.
Hate like the Netflix true crime documentaries that, especially the ones that actually just end on "we don't know yet." And they set up all of like the potential of like the what if and what happened and have they been convicted or anything? Has anyone found out who actually committed the crime? No one knows.
No. The best one of those is it's the David Fincher Zodiac movie. And one of the funniest comments I've ever read. So I was getting a clip of, I don't know the actor, but they have an actor who plays like one of the strongest suspects they had for Zodiac, but they never managed to like pin anything on him. And like you'll find the scene just typing like Zodiac interrogation scene. And just a comment that put me on my ass while I was grabbing that clip is like, I don't think this guy is the Zodiac. I think this actor playing him is. That's how that's how convincing the actor is at portraying someone who's obviously guilty. And apparently behind the scenes, the way David Fincher got him to seem so guilty, he just said, act as if you're completely innocent. And the more innocent the guy tried to act, the guiltier he seemed. Which is like, no, that guy, the actor in the scene, he's Zodiac.
I've not seen that, but I'll tell you what.
It's a tough watch. Like, I wouldn't recommend watching Zodiac if you're looking to have a good night's sleep.
No, exactly.
Either way, can I take a break?
Yeah, people can go have a lovely, very quick nap while we just like run the toilet and grab a drink and that. But yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes.
We get to put like a ginormous spice on screen.
Yeah, Big Spice. Is that big like spice. The secret sixth Spice Girl, Big Spice?
Big Spice. Can you imagine if it turned out there's actually a secret one called Big Spice?
But yeah, in a few.
You muted, mate. Every time.
Thought I pressed it, but yes, we are back. Thank you all for being patient with us. Karl, I don't know if there's any housekeeping that you want to get on to before we get into my wiki.
The only bit of housekeeping I need to do is, because as mentioned, I'm away for the majority of next week, so we've recorded in advance. But I would like if you could post that thumbnail on screen, Lucas, just to wet people's whistle and give them a taste of an upcoming fact theme video that I'm particularly proud of.
Okay, so you give us like a bit of info as I find this image.
Well, this is just something we've recorded that I just really like that the thumbnail. So we talked earlier in recording about we don't do clickbait for fact theme videos. Everything that you see promised in a title and a thumbnail is always delivered upon. And I think that this has been taken to its logical extreme with this thumbnail. anyone who understands the context, and you're like, wait, what? It's like, yes. I just like to promote that because why not? It made me giggle when I made it.
Get that one.
I just found it very amusing.
So I'm just
Besides
gonna
that,
fill
I'm on
the screen
holiday.
with it for a moment. But yes, this is Carl's newest thumbnail for a video that's not out yet, right?
It'll be out Friday. And Lucas, you can confirm as the person who was off camera, that is exactly what happened.
That is, yes. So it says that time a guy got away with crashing multiple balloons into someone's house.
Yep.
So if that title interests you, I can confirm that it is legitimately like not clickbait. That is what we discuss it in the video, and also just give myself a shout out for getting a very good guess.
Yes, I gave Lucas 10 guesses to guess what I thought would be a very difficult thing to guess, and he got it in 3.
Yeah.
But besides that, I said I'm on holiday next week, so there's not much I can promote because I won't be in the country.
So Carl's promoting himself getting a fucking break. Good on you.
How about yourself?
I don't think I've got any housekeeping in particular this week. Just I guess a reminder to make sure that if you're liking the content, to give it a like and tell a friend about it, give it a share on social media, what have you. Just any help is appreciated.
It is indeed, yes. So, what's the topic you brought forward?
Well,
you mentioned a festival.
Yes. So, I recently saw some scuttlebutt. Let's is that the right term?
For what?
For like a bit of like I don't even know what like the term technically means. But anyway, there was some shenanigans going on when it came around to the discussion of Download Festival. Yeah.
Oh God, what's happening now? Because I could not give less of a fuck about music festivals. I went to Slam Dunk once and went, fuck this.
Yeah.
Too many people. It's too sweaty. Cost 12 quid for a pint.
Yeah, and the idea of being like locked there for 3 days, it's not for me. I understand, but I'd rather just go to a gig of my choosing.
Yep. I'd rather go to a gig.
Yeah.
I don't care if I've got to travel and get a hotel. It's a much preferable experience for me.
Yeah. I do want to put the term scuttlebutt, by the way.
Okay, because I want to know what's happened to downloads. This is not something I ever interact with. I have lots of friends who go to festivals, so I hear about it from them, and every time I ask them like, "Do you have fun?" No, shit. It's too busy with too many people. That's like, why do you go every year? You say this every time.
I think it's such a cool idea of like you get to go, you get to have fun for 3 days, you get to listen to so many different artists. Like the concept is good, but it's so expensive.
It reminds me of like when I was a student and going to nightclubs. And it's like, yeah, going to nightclubs were a lot of fun. And now I got one when I'm older, I'm like, fuck this. It was fun because I was 20 years old. I had loads of energy. I lived off energy drinks and baked beans.
And
I had absolutely
you don't still
zero.
Live off baked beans, Karl.
I had zero obligations.
You do need to step your bean game up, though, Karl.
That bad.
Because I saw a British streamer like clip out a moment for TikTok where they were like stacking up baked beans and they have a wall of baked beans.
I don't buy many baked beans anymore because I've tried to be healthier. So even though beans are all right on their own, I normally have them with like beans on toast or accompaniments like chips or fish cakes, and as a result, not bought them much.
I would be impressed though to come around to your house and see an entire wall of baked beans.
I also don't like that thing of leaning into a single aspect of your personality online.
No, I know you don't. You don't like having a gimmick, right?
It's because, do you like when like a dad says I like hot sauce? They make that mistake, and all they get for like birthday presents is hot sauce or something like that. Or like,
I think the problem with that though is also with the kind of the people and the type of people that end up in that scenario are just normally non-communicative about what their interests are.
Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of their problem, but at the same time, it's like, I just don't want to give people the option to have this one thing in mind so they don't have to think about it.
So I've set up a PO box, and Karl has mentioned. No, I'm joking. Because that is what it'd be if you leaned into the bit, right?
There's also that aspect of it as well of like we generally, on the whole, have never really accepted like fan gifts or. Well, I think we had a PO box for like 6 months and it never fucking worked anyway, which just confirmed my bias about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we just don't like the idea of people spending potentially a lot of money on a gift for us when like yeah, it just makes us feel a bit weird. But it's one of those for me. I'll take gifts from companies.
Yeah,
but if you want to send me a lot of free stuff and sponsor the videos, by all means.
It was for a while like drinking videos became like kind of like the thing, which was fine, but it did become frustrating. Like I'd be out with friends and stuff. And people would recognize like, you're not having a drink then? No. I didn't like being known for that because that did make me feel a bit, I thought I was more known for making interesting content, and we happen to have a drink in a couple of videos. So you may notice that we've not done any drinking-based fact-themed videos for years now.
Well, it's weird, right? Because a lot of the time when like we record a Wiki Weekends video or something, it's like the afternoon. Don't want to be like going on a
fucking on Monday, right?
Yeah, getting half cut like on my own in a room, just on like a Discord call with you. Like, yeah, let's get drunk for content. Like,
yeah, but you know,
it's a bit weird. But anyway, yeah.
What's this about download?
Well, I just want to confirm. Scuttlebutt is just it says rumor or gossip.
Okay.
So the sentence they use it in a sentence here is the scuttlebutt has it that he was a spy.
So it's just like a little birdie told me that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I want to keep it light. I got really annoyed and wanted to discuss it because like obviously every time, every year, every announcement of a fucking like lineup for a festival, people have shit to say. And this year is just the year where it felt extremely gatekeepy more so than in the past.
Who's at download this year? So it's 2025. Has it happened yet?
It's happened, and I just saw clips of it recently. And the two that I saw mainly being discussed, there was 3 that I saw people have like problems with, but the biggest 2 were Venga Boys.
Right, so let me have a look. Venga Boys, they're not on the main stage.
No, so they were in a tent, right?
That's no problem with that.
Yeah, and then also McFly being there.
The Venga Boys are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: anyone complaining about like download is probably going to be largely populated by like 30 to 40-year-olds with a lot of disposable income.
Yes.
Most of the people 30 to 40 years old, like, you know, are going to have like some shitty 90s cheese, which includes Venga Boys.
Exactly. And yeah, I saw less but some discussion about the fact that one of the lead artists on the main stage, one of the headliners, was Sleep Token. And obviously we talked about
them like a number 1 album right now.
But they literally are a band that recently released an album that hit number 1 in both America and the UK. Like, you might not agree that they're like the right kind of music to download, but they are a band with heavy elements to them.
Also, download hasn't been heavy for like 20 fucking years because people actually go to it now. Like, if you want to go to a heavy band, go to Bloodstock.
That's the thing is, like, download will go through some of the like biggest names that have been there.
Yeah, so
it's still awesome. Like very like rock and heavy adjacent, right?
Well, like let's just go through like the headliners for like the headliners for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are Green Day, Sleep Token, and Korn.
Yeah,
Green Day absolutely fucking just like iconic in their status, cemented as one of the most important bands of the last 25 years. Sleep Token, biggest band like that plays guitars in the world right now. Korn, not my cup of tea. Very important to the new metal scene.
That's the thing. I'm not a person who likes Korn, but I appreciate why Korn would be there, right?
And then like the other bands supporting them are Weezer, Jimmy Eat World, Rise Against, CKY, Poppy, Hatebreed, Shinedown, Bullet for My Valentine, Meshuggah, Ginger, Bleed From Within. Like some fucking good bands, some good ass bands.
And it's so annoying to see. Like, obviously, we talked about, again, we did a podcast not long ago about Sleep Token because they're so popular. And it's like, hey, it's not necessarily not necessarily for me,
McFly.
but just I appreciate what they're doing and they're being different and they're becoming popular for it. And I can totally appreciate that. And it pisses me off to no end when people are, how dare a band that's like gaining recognition in the mainstream be at Download Festival. And oh,
Do you know all I think of? I think of where it was, I think it might have been Download or some other similar festival, where Dolly Parton was playing on the same stage as Metallica.
right, yeah.
And everyone's like, what the fuck are they doing with this lineup? And someone cornered Metallica and was like, do you think about sharing the stage with Dolly Parton? Like, we're excited. We can't wait to see her. Like, what? It's like, we all worship at the altar of Dolly.
Like, Dolly
She's one of the
Parton's...
most beloved consummate performers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, this is the band talking, like, we can't wait to see her. Who doesn't want to see Dolly Parton?
Exactly. Like, literally one of the few people on the planet Earth that can claim to be a more popular music act than Metallica.
Yeah.
And, like, regardless of what you think of the talent of Metallica, obviously they're a massive band, right? But, like, yeah, Dolly Parton is a fucking industry icon.
Institution.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be like if Cher wanted to go on, if Cher wanted to go to Download, Cher's going to Download. Right? If ABBA came back, ABBA could like sell out and be the headline of any festival on Earth.
And
like, there's just some bands that are so iconic or so important. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the genre is.
No. And
you just got to appreciate them for what they've done for music.
To appreciate, like, kind of, if people don't know, Download Festival started in like 2003. The biggest Download Festival is the one which originated, is held in Donington Park Motorsport Circuit in Leicestershire. And then since then, like from 2016 onwards, it's like gone to new locations, including like Paris, Sydney, Melbourne, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Baden-Württemberg in Germany. But yeah, main Download Festival is still the one held in Leicester in England. And
yeah,
some of the big bands over the years that have been there are Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Slipknot, Metallica, Linkin Park, Korn, Soundgarden, Motorhead, Aerosmith, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Five Finger Death Punch, Kiss, Judas Priest, Rammstein, Status Quo, Motley Crue, My Chemical Romance, ZZ Top, Whitesnake, Faith No More, Guns N' Roses, and Fall Out Boy. And that's according to the wiki page. So if there's certain bands that deserve to be in that list as well, they just didn't get put there. No, there's a lot more bands that have been there over the years.
You can just, there is like a trend. They're like, you know, they tend to be like close to like rock pop. Like, they're not so much pop as they are like rock, punk, and metal. There's some like pop punk and some pop rock in there, but for the most part, like a heavier sound. But I, like yourself, Lucas, cannot stand gatekeepers. Music gatekeepers are the most boring fucking people.
Yeah.
Like, if someone out there is like, I listen to a lot of rock and heavy metal. Every now and again, I'll put some Carl Rae Jepsen on. I'll put some Journey on.
Yeah.
I'll listen to me some Venga Boys. And anyone, like, have you ever actually spoken to a music purist like that and just ever not just tried to avoid rolling your eyes so hard they fell out the back of your head?
Right. Like, I'm a massive fan of baby metal, and it really pisses me off the amount of people that are like, you know, proper metal fans that'll be like, oh, but that's just baby metal, like they're not proper metal. And okay, but regardless of what you think of that band, that is a band that was a transitionary band for me to get into metal. And like, I have now started listening to a lot more metal since I got into baby metal, and they were like that kind of in for me. They were, you know, fun and poppy enough in those parts of the songs to grab my attention, and then kind of get used to and start liking the heavy elements more.
Also, as well, they put on a good show.
They put on a sick show. They're one of the best artists I've ever seen live.
Here's the thing: it's that I just don't understand like the gatekeepingness, because when you talk to like metal fans, it's like, oh, so what do you like about metal? So it's such an open and welcoming community,
which for the most part it is.
Yeah, it is, and then that just seems so antithetical to that idea. Because like they always say, the best nights I've ever been on have been to, like, metal clubs and rock clubs or concerts for bands like that. Like no trouble ever happens in any of those places. But then there are people who they like it and evidently got into it for that, and then gatekeep the music. You're not listening to the right music.
Yeah, it's so weird, and it's the same with like a lot of metal, or like not a lot, but there are some metal gatekeepers that like will hate on new metal because that's not like proper metal and things like that.
It is shit though.
I like new metal to an extent.
Have you seen that great Gerard Way quote though, where there's a tweet from him like, you know what, I'm going to give new metal another chance. Half an hour later, never mind. But it's not great, right? It's not great.
But there are great songs and great artists that are in the new metal genre. Like, you've got to give a band like Linkin Park their credit, or
Hey, Joe, what? Linkin Park again, always gonna have icon status because they did the final song to Transformers 1, which might be the most 2000s ending to a film. So they have cemented their place in culture.
Yeah, and I was just googling because I don't necessarily agree with this kind of genre determination, but I've heard a lot of people say like System of a Down were new metal, and I'm like, I don't really agree with that. But either way, if you're going to classify them as new metal, sure, they're great.
Now, what would you classify System of a Down as?
I don't even fucking know. Like, they're their own band. Just they
I
are
don't
Surge.
think there's any other. Yeah, there's no other band that I've ever listened to that sounds like System of a Down.
No,
Their sound, their lyricism, Serge Tankian's voice, it's all just so distinctly them.
Yeah, and the ability to hop between being like so stupid and goofy with their lyrics and then putting in like really poignant and political shit in the mix. It's not one or the other.
Yeah, I'll never forget like one of my exes who really liked she was really into System of a Down.
Mm-hmm.
And like she put her playlist on the first time we were intimate, and the first song that played was Violent Pornography. And I'm just like, I just looked and went, really? And she went, I don't mind. Fair enough. And that's why you get into heavy metal, folks. You meet a girl like that.
Oh god. Yeah, fair. But yeah, one thing that I thought was incredibly cool and fun is that like McFly being there. I like McFly.
We talked about this last time with Sleep Talk. We like McFly, we don't like Charlie.
Oh yeah,
Was he from Busted?
Like, Charlie's from Busted, right?
Okay. Isn't McFly now a supergroup? Or are they separated again?
So
McBusted
happened at one point.
Okay. So what happened is like the Patar earring stopped working or something?
No, I think just like then because of McBusted, Busted wanted to try and come back as Busted. But it's like a constant cycle of like they'll have fun and do McBusted tours. Like Charlie will decide like, oh fuck it, I want to make a new metal band again, or I want to get Firestar, is it? Fightstar back up, and it's like just the constant roundabout of Charlie being like, I don't think that I'm right for Busted, I want to go play metal. And fair play to him, whatever.
Fair play to him for that being his like his line in the sand.
Yeah. But it just seems way more fun to just be touring as like Busted or McBusted, having the time of your life.
Yep.
And yeah, like I was originally like a fan of McFly because my two sisters are obsessed with them and played them all the time.
That's the thing. Like, we are a combination of our own experiences. The reason I have such an eclectic music taste, my dad liked Black Sabbath, Rod Stewart. My mum liked Clubland, Roxette, and Savage Garden. Right? My older brother listened to Blink 182, Green Day.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, the popular music was stuff like Busted, McFly, the Spice Girls.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like definitely McFly or like pop rock, if you want to call them that. And a lot of people would argue they're not even rock. That's a lot of the discussion.
They've got guitar and drums. It's rock.
Yeah, and they've dabbled over the years with getting a bit heavier and stuff, and clearly they like to make some rock music. And when I say heavier, I mean heavier by McFly standards. They've not done like metal and shit.
Yeah.
But one of the first clips I saw coming out of Download this year was them transitioning from like the opening of Master of Puppets into Five Colors in Her Hair, and it's like they're clearly having fun with it and clearly care for the genre, even if they're not the ones playing that type of music.
Not to mention, as mentioned, a lot of people going to this festival, going to be in their late 30s. Everyone has that guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah, I'd get it if it was like McFly are the fucking headliners for Saturday night on the main stage or some shit.
They're not. They're just on another stage, randomly playing. Again, for those 30-year-olds who are like, you know what? I don't want to go into a fucking circle pit
Yeah. And
at 10 o'clock at
apparently,
night.
they made sure that they finished early enough. Like, they apparently, like, ended a little bit early to make sure people had time to get to Green Day on the main stage. And obviously,
Presumably they
they're the
wanted to watch Green
headline.
Day as well. Right?
What was that?
Presumably they wanted to watch Green Day as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is like, a lot of the people who want to watch Green Day, especially like newer Green Day albums, like not the early stuff, are probably people who grew up also listening to McFly, right? Or Venga
Yeah.
Boys.
And they went through that transitionary period, right, where they discovered, like, ooh, what's this CD? Or they listened to something on the radio while they were scrolling and went, ooh, they found Kerrang! And found, ooh, what's this?
Yeah, and
It's up to me.
On the chat saying that they're 24, it's like, yeah, there's going to be a mix of ages regardless of when like people go to festivals and stuff. Like, obviously it'll skew slightly younger.
We're speaking to our own experiences of, in specific regards to why Venga Boys would be there, because presumably there's going to, as the concerts get older. I remember it. I forget, it was like Glastonbury or something like that. Well, like, oh, Eminem's headlining Glastonbury instead of like, I don't know, like Coldplay.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, because Eminem, like, they always put the bands in for people who from 20 years ago. We're now like the 35-year-olds who are going to Glastonbury. Even the 50s don't go to festivals as much. So now they need to bring in artists that we remember from when we were like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, and okay, it says here that Download was conceived as a follow-up to the Monsters of Rock Festival, which had been held at Donington Park from like 1980 to 1996. And again, that's fine. It's fine to be mostly geared towards one genre or a couple of genres, right? Like, it has to have an identity as a festival to work, because you've got to attract like enough of the same people, because
you need to have cohesion, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's something like, was it Coachella, which is just like, Coachella's so massive.
But still, like Coachella's got a vibe.
Yeah.
Coachella's still got a very poppy mainstream vibe, right?
Metallica's been at Coachella.
There's been exceptions, but that's the kind of day that you would kind of expect a lot of your like the bands that would show up throughout the day at Coachella, you'd expect to be mainly geared more towards that vibe.
The pop crowd, yeah. Like, they're kind so like massive that just anyone who wants to go
and stuff like that. Yeah, like there's exceptions as always, but yeah. So yeah, I don't mind it, but again, just gotta be giving other bands a chance, and I don't see the problem with putting them either earlier on in the day or putting them on like side stages and tents and stuff.
All I can think as well is, I bet if you went to their show, everyone's dancing and it's jam fucking packed. Which means that, how do the people who have those like weird gatekeepy opinions not go to these things and see everyone fucking loving it?
Yeah,
they just in their head think they just don't understand.
People were putting like absolute vibes on for just McFly and Venga Boys. Like, every video I've seen is people just being like, look how fucking excited everyone is in this crowd for these people to be here.
Yeah. In that vein, is there like a band or like a group or an artist from like the 90s or like the 2000s where you would absolutely pop off if they like just did a secret like show when you're about to go watch back?
I mean, McBusted was a massive one for me.
This is a deep pull, but if Niz Lopi came out and sung the JCB song, do you remember the JCB
I remember
song?
the JCB song, but when you started saying that, I don't even remember that name, but like, I didn't know who you were saying then.
It either be like, because that's just such a specific one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
The other one I think would be either Hello Goodbye, because they were like, for me, there was a very, very specific time of my like teenage years, what I got super into, like power pop.
Okay.
Which is like, and synth pop, which is like Hello Goodbye, like I don't know any songs that they did, like Here in Your Arms and stuff like that. I got really, really into that for
Right,
like
okay.
6 months. I was super into power pop. I think I pop off for like Hello Goodbye.
Fair enough, yeah. I think as just a throwback to my childhood, I probably wouldn't go and watch them, but I'd be happy to see that they reunited for S Club / S Club 7.
S Club 7's story is too depressing.
That's the thing. I just don't think I'd want to actually go see that. But I think in the back of my head, I'm like, if an ideal S Club 7 came back and it was all perfect, like that would be a fun moment, but I wouldn't want it to happen. But yeah, like S Club 7, to put into context, the first album I ever bought with my own money.
And many Americans like, okay, what would be the comparison? Think like early Jonas Brothers, like that kind of vibe of like the kids bop, essentially.
Technically, we're not allowed to say you've got to make a comparison. You've got to technically say that the Jonas Brothers are busted.
Yeah, because I mean more like
their biggest hit was Year 3000, which is a busted song.
I mean more like a band or group that is specifically geared towards like 12-year-olds.
Maybe, but I would argue maybe that was S Club Junior. You remember that?
Yeah.
Where like they literally got random kids and labeled it as like, here's the kids version of S Club 7. Is this any association? We think we can make a lot of money if we just call them S Club Junior.
Yeah. It's like it's one step removed from kids bop.
Bear in mind as well, S Club 7 might have to do like maybe it's not the nicest story.
It depends how many members of S Club 7 have either overdosed or died.
Yeah, and like
my guess is a few.
It's one of those of like, they were so big. They might be well known in America as well because they had TV shows, Karl.
They're not well known in America. If Robbie Williams isn't known in America, S Club 7 certainly aren't.
And I did see some pushback to people saying that Robbie Williams or Spice Girls weren't popular in America. They may have been popular in certain parts of America or something, but I definitely have heard a lot of Americans say that they didn't know who Robbie Williams was until like that new film came out, right?
The monkey film.
The monkey film. So it's definitely not a universal experience over there. We're aware of that, but yeah, maybe we not given enough credit to how big like the fucking Spice Girls were over there, because they were an international phenomenon,
a global phenomenon. At least I thought so.
But yeah, so maybe Americans, let us know if you are aware of S Club 7 and whether it's through their music or a TV show that they had. I'm pretty sure the TV show was in America.
I have no idea, but Joe, I've just thought of I know which artist. If they said, okay, Joe and Dave Grohl brought out like Rick Astley,
you're not allowed to say, okay, I thought you were going down the route of like bringing out like a fucking hologram of Nirvana out there or something.
No, right? If you're watching a band, right? I don't know, name a band.
Blink 182.
You're watching Blink 182. And they just say, look, we're in the UK. There's a singer we know is popular with a lot of white people here. They had 2 #1 hits. Welcome Bob the Builder.
So when you said the JCB
Bob
song,
the Builder came out and sung "Can We Fix It."
When you mentioned the JCB song, that was where my brain first went. Is the Bob
That's
the Builder
where mine went of like
songs? Yeah, I'm like Bob the Builder. What? Yeah, 2 #1 hits in like back to back. I think they were close to Christmas time as well.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back #1 Christmas hits in "Can We Fix It" and "Big Fish, Little Fish" cardboard box.
And I love the fact as well.
You tell me you wouldn't lose your shit if Bob the Builder came out.
It would be hilarious. But it's just very funny as well. It's credited to Bob the Builder, the fictional child, protagonist.
Can you imagine, Lucas? You imagine you're 4 or 5 beers deep, me and you are at a club. So we've got a special guest appearance, and Neil
Bob
Morrissey
the Builder rocks up.
It's like when I went to a nightclub, and they said the special guest that week was Bodger and Badger, which is like a shitty 90s British TV show about a man who had like a puppet, and the puppet eats mashed potato. But the guy didn't bring the puppet; he left it in the hotel, so it was Bodger, not Badger.
You can't do just Bodger.
Exactly. Another one I went to, and they brought Sooty and Sweep, and the guy left Sweep in his hotel room, so it was just Sooty.
Just Sooty, God. Like, you'd think you've got one job. All you've got to do is remember Badger. And they're little, like, hand puppets, if you're not aware.
He'd done a lot of drugs.
I'd imagine. Oh, dear, oh, dear. I still love how much of a laugh that the Chuckle Brothers are touring nightclubs.
I met him. I met Paul Chuckle.
Yeah, seeing, like, people in nightclubs lose their shit because the Chuckle Brothers are there, and they just...
Exactly.
They had a lot of fun and a lot of drugs. They rocked it out, but yeah. It's just...
Oh, can you imagine just if he came out and went, here's an old school hit you might know. Can we fix it? And then the entire crowd in unison screams, no, we can't.
I do really like the idea of, like, fictional bands. And in terms of, like, I really enjoy kind of, like, the vibes of, like, the Hatsune Miku, and I listen to quite a few, like, the songs by KDA, like the League of Legends fictional
The one
band.
you want is Pentakill. That's the metal band.
Right, okay.
Pentakill, like, KDA are awesome,
mm-hmm.
but Pentakill is like the one where they did the metal version, and it's like fake League of Legends like characters singing in a metal band.
Right, and there's
Pentakill's really good.
Obviously, a big one's Gorillaz as well, right?
How much does Gorillaz owe to Bob the Builder?
Bob the Builder owe to Gorillaz is the real question, but
Is Bob the Builder's got up in before Gorillaz, right?
No, I don't think so. Anyway,
is Gorillaz one of those bands that's been around for ages?
I think they were like the turn of the millennium. I think around
Bob the Builder was 90s, man. Either way,
I don't think Bob the Builder was 90s. You know what, Karl?
Either way,
I'll
look it up. I'll
do a bit of research about Bob the Builder, but yeah, there's also like a Netflix movie coming out.
1999. Fuck you.
Fuck. Hey.
So when did Gorillaz become
close to the turn of the century?
Gorillaz formed 1998. Damn it.
Yeah. Okay.
1 year.
I knew they were both around that time period, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a new film coming out on Netflix, and it's just, again, a fictional, like K-pop group, I think, who then are like in battle against demons, and just all of their fights are like music videos and shit, basically.
That sounds awesome.
I was like, I can't wait for that. And I think it looks like it might be done by like Sony, like the team who did like Spider-Verse and shit like that.
Fuck yeah, I'm down.
So it looks super crisp either way, regardless of that's the actual animation team or not. It looks really nice. And I can't wait for that movie to come out. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna vibe out and watch this like cool fucking like K-pop-esque battle dance.
It's like
routine.
KDA is a band. Like their music videos are actually sick because like the League of Legends, like it's got League of Legends money. The music videos for KDA are actually incredible, and they have like the models of like Jinx and stuff doing like full fucking K-pop routines.
Yeah,
they're awesome. It's like that's like for a reason I like Blackpink. Because an ex of mine, like during the pandemic, we got that like dance game. What is it? Just Dance for the Switch, right? I think
on
it
the
is.
Switch, it'll probably be Just Dance, I guess. Yeah,
it was Just Dance, and we learned like a couple of the dance routines, and I'm like, who the fuck is this KDA band? Who are they?
Mm-hmm.
We learn one of the dances from that, and then the other one is like Blackpink. So we like Blackpink, so I had to learn one of their routines.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like, if you asked us like, what kind of music do you like? The first answers that we'd say are probably things like rock and metal and pop punk. The type of things that are at download. But then we're also sitting here talking about like how much we enjoy listening to things like KDA. It's like people can have eclectic music tastes, and there's no reason to not lean into that a little bit.
Well, I mentioned something earlier, like my mum listened to the singer Roxette, And a band that I like is one called Amaranth. And they're like, I don't know how to describe them, but like a heavy metal band with like a female singer. She's really good. They recently dropped a cover of Roxette's "Fading Like a Flower." So even the bands that are like the singers and the people making the music, these heavy bands, like these songs because presumably when they were growing up, they similarly had an eclectic music taste informed by the taste of their parents and stuff.
Yeah, and it really annoys me again when you like look at clips of McFly on stage having fun and playing a download where they got into like doing a Rage Against the Machine cover of Killing in the Name. And just seeing Danny on stage being able to scream like motherfucker and looking like he's finally getting a chance to play that song on stage somewhere. And it's like you can tell that they are fans of those genres and that they want to be there because they're celebrating that kind of music, not just because it's a gig, right?
Yeah, it's like we talked about it during the Sleep Token episode where just oh god, Bring Me the Horizon just did a cover of Wonderwall.
Right, okay.
Because they wanted to.
Because like when they announced the Oasis you'll ever hear, right?
Yeah, when the Oasis tour got announced, like the members of the band just got talking of like, well, everyone does a cover of Wonderwall. Should we do one?
Yeah. Just great. And like I just really don't get it of like again people get upset about things like Bring Me the Horizon doing like, oh, they did a fucking song where they were with baby metal, but that's not proper metal and stuff. Like, again, just stop being weird, gatekeeper.
It's like you just think more people liking music. It's just a lot of it comes down to I don't want stop having fun, right?
Yes, exactly. And I just think, what is the problem if I go see McFly at Download in a tent where like everyone's having fun, including the band, and they're doing some like cool things to incorporate the fact that rock fans are there, like playing Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, okay. In that vein, then, do you have like a favorite unexpected cover of like a band covering a song that maybe wasn't expected, but they did a good job? Because one that popped up on my like suggested recently, because I was listening to some like some country music while I was at the gym, is the Nickelback cover of "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," which is actually super legit.
Oh god.
It's super legit. Like the guitar solo in it is actually really good.
Yeah. I think the obvious one to mention before everyone in chat gets to it is like the cover of Hurt by Johnny Cash, right?
It's so good that Tears for Fears said it's yours now.
9 Inch Nails, I think, right?
Oh, 9 Inch Nails, yeah, sorry, it's Mad World.
Yeah.
Mad World's the one where they gave it to Gary Jules, yeah.
Yeah, and just
it's again, told him that it's your song now.
Another great one, but yes, just the fact that it's like obviously those are two of the go-to answers, but I think Karl, you looked like you froze there for a second.
No, I'm just listening to you.
Yeah, no, I will give you a shout out as well for your recommendation of listening to that like Emotaku.
Oh yeah, Emotaku, Jared Alonge.
Yeah, so that's like some like weeby covers of pop punk, right?
Yes, and Jared Alonge is a very interesting artist because they are ostensibly a joke artist where they have a number of fake bands that are pastiches of bands within that genre. Like they have one called like Sunrise Skater Kids, which is like a generic pop punk band, but they're really legit sounding pop punk songs to the point where they're actually good on their own. Like they have like another one that's like a post-hardcore band that has like the breakdowns and the random synth in it called like Swag Chode. And like another one that's like a soft rock, wuss rock Canada band called like Canadian Softball and stuff. And as you mentioned, they did a full pop punk album in Japanese called Emotaku. And the covers are like super legit.
They are, yeah. And I think there's only like 5 in there, right? But they're all really good.
Yeah.
Like I think there's like Dear Maria, Count Me In, and like I'm Not Okay. And just whacking them out in Japanese and having a laugh with it, and it's just fun.
It's based on a joke that like pop punk sung in Japanese sounds like an anime intro. So what if we read an album of that?
Yeah, because that is one of the truest things of all time. You just put Dear Maria Count Me In over any anime intro, and it just works.
Well, speaking of Dear Maria, All Time Low released a cover of their own music.
Wait, what?
Where they released a new album re-recording some of their old songs in their new style. Their slightly heavier, less polished style. Which I found interesting of like they're now like a more mature artists covering their early pop punk stuff.
Yeah. And
I found that to be pretty decent when I get that a listen. So I'm just scrolling through like my Spotify at the moment, to like see if I can spot any that just stick out.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look here for like band Patent Pending did a cover like album, and I'll just try and find like the actual album here, but oh dear.
Yeah, like Patent Pending, like they're like the video gamey band, right? They're like math rock and stuff, right?
So they're pop punk, but they also do have a lot of kind of they had like a song like Hey Mario, right? And just they have a lot of fun with it again. But they did a bunch of covers on an album, and as like an album, but they did like Livin' La Vida Loca, Shout Out to My Ex, Never Gonna Give You Up, Wasted, Spice Up Your Life.
Yeah, then there's a couple of artists who are just like near exclusively cover artists. I'll do a lot of covers, like someone in chat mentioned Hailstorm. There's First to 11. Some of their covers are pretty decent.
And the band Hanabi also did a cover of Believer by Imagine Dragons, and it's like, oh cool, an Imagine Dragons song that's now fun to listen to.
Not to mention like they've got to mention like the Pop Goes Punk CDs, which have various artists on them, but they got a bunch of like pop punk and punk artists in to cover pop songs from the time, and I think it got up to like 7 or 8, and most every song on those albums are really fun, just because it's artists being asked to cover a song from a genre they're not normally associated with in their own style.
Yeah, like as mentioned, Patent Pending, like all of those covers are like pop punk covers, and it's like hearing like a pop punk version of Spice Up Your Life is fucking awesome.
Yes.
And I didn't know that apparently someone started saying that Nirvana did The Man Who Sold the World by David Bowie. That sounds sick as fuck. But yeah.
One more artist that I want to shout out here. I find which band it was.
It's just it's one of those things, right? Of like have fun with things, and music can
exactly yes,
a fun thing, and it's so frustrating, and I felt like I just needed to talk about it, of like watching the reaction to those announcements be like, this fucking sucks, get out of my gig.
People without whimsy in their song.
Yeah.
Right? It's that, right? They don't have like whimsy in their song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't get around it, and I can't be that person.
I can't fathom getting to that point.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I could never imagine being the kind of guy who like sees a girl wearing a t-shirt with a band that I like on it,
and
rather than being like, oh cool, a hot girl wearing a t-shirt from a band I like, and instead walking over and grilling them on it, and then walking away feeling all smug and satisfied that I know more than them. Like, well, I'd rather get to know them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and like it's hard to show off, but like right now I'm wearing a shirt with Jinx on it from League of Legends. As somebody who has never played League of Legends, and I love being the type of person where if anyone ever confronts me about this shirt, of like, "Will you play League?" I'm like, absolutely not, but it's a cool fucking shirt.
What's that?
Just the Jinx shirt that I'm wearing. Like, yeah.
No, I mean, yes, we say like,
me saying like,
League,
yeah, what's that? I love that energy of like, okay.
You know what? I'm sure the people who make money from that don't care, right?
Yeah.
It's like something that could be funny is all those pictures of monks wearing Nirvana t-shirts, looking like just unintentionally super metal.
Yeah.
Or just people like what Stranger Things came out and everyone got into Metallica, and you had a bunch of old like metal heads being like, oh, well, they don't really listen to Metallica, and the band themselves like, hey, we got 1 million streams in a day. If they only like one song, and they think they're a fan of our band, they're a fan of our band.
Yeah. If they like Master of Puppets, they like Metallica. I think it was Master.
Yeah. Yes.
And
if this is what gets them dipping their toes into the world, we're fine with that.
Crazy to think that, Master of Puppets man himself will be our next Johnny Storm. Like, fuck yeah.
Who's that?
I think his name's Joseph Quinn, right? Like
Johnny Storm?
the actor who played the guy in Stranger Things is Johnny Storm.
Yes, it is. I didn't recognize him without the fucking mullet.
Yeah.
The mullet really threw me off.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you know, that was one of them. Like, they were one of the most fun characters in that season, right? One of the most memorable.
Yeah, they had one of the coolest fucking moments. Like, it's hard to argue that potentially is the most metal thing that's ever been in a TV show, or at least in like a popular TV show. Even the character themselves says it was made for this, as they stand on the fucking roof, right?
They rock the fuck out to like essentially corral demons, like a tornado of demon bats, basically. It's like, that shit's metal as fuck.
Can you think of a more metal moment from a TV show or film? I struggle to think of one.
I would struggle off the top of my head to think one, yeah.
Playing the solo to Master of Puppets on a hell guitar as infinite demons come towards him, wearing like a fucking AC, like a demon horn t-shirt, right?
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, I really like Stranger Things. I think for the most part the show's really good, and I wish they wouldn't take 3 years between each season, but
yeah,
here we are. It's like, yeah, that shit's so cool. That just obviously the whole kind of vibe of that. I can't even remember what the underworld thing is called now. The Upside Down. But the whole vibe of the Upside Down is metal anyway. But then adding like Master of Puppets into the mix, it's like, what more could you ask for?
It should be pointed out as well that the guy legit played it for real.
Oh, did he? He learned Master of Puppets.
He played it for real, yeah. He insisted on playing it for real. They cut in and out. Like, it's not him playing it live, but he did record himself playing it, and they interspersed it with actual Master of Puppets sound. But he did go on stage with Metallica and play it live with the band.
Oh, that's really cool. I guess that's just what I wanted to rage about for an hour. It's like, people just be fucking chill.
Again, no whimsy in the song.
Yeah.
If I was, like I said, if I was at Download, you never find me there, Mike. But if I was, and someone told me, like, do you know the Venga Boys are playing in 10 minutes? I'd be like, oh my god, why are we not there right now?
Yeah. Why am I not like fucking front line right there for Venga Boys?
I'm down. Like, when they say the Venga bus is coming, I'm like, I am.
Yeah. I mean, took me a second there, but yeah, thanks for that. But yes,
have you ever seen that clip
I'd be bored in the bus, is how I'd like to put it.
Yeah, have you ever seen that video of someone of like, this sums up British culture? I think they're in Liverpool, and they just put on their speaker at max volume the Venga bus is coming, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, a bunch of pissed people like getting kebabs and
there's like 100 people dancing in the street, right?
Every single person immediately turns around and starts going, whoa, whoa. Every single one. The power of music, man. Music has such a magnetic ability to bring people together.
It does, yeah. In quite a literal sense when it comes to festivals, right?
Like, the amount of times where I've been like at a club or a concert, and just you randomly grab someone next to you and just sing along.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a song that you like, right?
Yeah.
There's not many other moments or events / activities you can do that inspire that much just raw outpouring of emotion. Can you think of one? I can't.
I don't think I can.
Because you like, by design, you expect to lower your inhibitions somewhat.
Yeah, and
they want you to sing along, they want you to clap and cheer, which is not something you'd normally do in public.
Maybe you could talk similarly from like gigs to like sporting events, right? It's a similar kind of vibe, but I do think that obviously sporting events, it's a lot more aggressive than collaborative, I guess. Most of the time anyway. Like, people have teams or players that they're cheering for to beat somebody else, and like, music is just bringing people together.
Yeah, everyone who goes to a concert is there to see the band. Half the people who go to a sporting event are there to see the band or the group you're going to see.
Yeah.
Half of the other people are going to see the other one.
Yeah.
By definition, half the people are going to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, when it comes to something like football, there's a lot of fighting and rioting and just general bad vibes going on when it comes to the history of football fans and such. Whereas, yes, it's happened, but you don't really hear as much of that, as it's not as common at gigs, right?
Not the gigs I go to. Any gigs you're looking forward to? Any coming up for you?
No, I
I've
didn't
kind
get
of
to
got no
go
gigs
see
booked for
Baby
the rest of the year.
Metal. Like, Baby Metal was last month, and I'm gutted that I missed that. But just
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check what Corp's got on in the next couple of weeks. Maybe I'll buy you a ticket to one. I'm
pretty sure
curious.
it's not Dragon Force.
Hey, do you not like Dragon Force?
I liked them enough, but not enough to go see them live. I wasn't into their music enough to enjoy the live gig that we went
They put
to.
on a good show.
Hey.
I thought they did.
They didn't for me. But yeah.
I don't know who this group is, but there's some band here called Girls Just Want to Have Funerals. And it's just 3 hot ladies. And I'm like, I want to go see that band, but they're performing tomorrow and I'm busy. There's a couple of festivals, not recognising any of these so far. Because you have a lot of cover bands go to Corporation. It's not that big.
No, it's not. It's not a massive venue, right? It's like it's even smaller
their website
than
is
most
very poorly laid out.
O2 academies and stuff.
Yeah,
very small place to go.
They've got like the pop punk like tribute festival, which is like a bunch of like cover bands. The place in Sheffield that I do like is the place called Sydney and Matilda. Whenever there's a festival, they do something where they do the alternate festival. They do like DJ sets based on what's playing there, which can be quite fun. That's not necessarily a band.
But anyway, Karl. Anyway, we've got
to
probably wrap this up.
There are a bunch of covers, yeah. I don't think we're going to get any. No, Baby Metal's not going. I'm sorry.
God, yeah. I want to go see Baby Metal properly because, like,
again, right?
Well, I went to see them as a
you saw them as the support act, right?
They were support act for Red Hot Chili Peppers, which was a gig made for me, and yeah, I think they were like on stage for about 40 minutes, but it's not like the same as going to them for a full couple
Lucas,
hours.
what are you doing on the 6th of September? What day would the 6th of September be? The 6th of September would be Saturday.
Okay.
In Sheffield, there is a thing called Emo Fest.
Oh, 80s night.
Emo Fest.
No, yeah, but that's like our equivalent of 80s night for our parents.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Tickets are £20. You want to go?
Potentially. Let me think about it.
You've got to commit live in the show though, so I can I can hold you to it. Should we make it a meetup? Should we make it a meetup and just say we go into that? We could do, because I think if we went to like a festival, it's like on all fucking day. I think we could announce that in a Discord. Like, me and Lucas will both be here this day.
But I feel bad making it like an official like meetup and come with it, because like I don't know how many would turn up and how like.
I bet if I called them up, I could get us on the poster.
I feel bad making people come down to like potentially not see us for very long, right?
They get to enjoy Emo Fest. They're gonna have a great day.
It's true. I felt really guilty hearing how long people had travelled for like when we did a Fat Fiend event.
There's a band here called Nick Cage Against the Machine, which is the Nicolas Cage theme Rage Against the Machine cover band. Do you want to go see them?
Karl, we'll discuss this off air. I'm leashing you in.
Thank you for watching, everybody. See you all next time.
For watching. Remember, don't be a fucking gatekeepy asshole.
No, especially not with our stuff. I'd be so mad if someone's being gatekeeper with our content. I'm like, you're not a real Fact Fiend or Wiki Weekends fan. Did you watch them when Karl was like an alcoholic in his kitchen?
And on that note, thank you all for listening, and thank you all for
Cheers, everybody.